We're defending America's freedom right here.
And just knowing, you know, that we're on here together making this happen.
It's one of those things, you know you get that once in a lifetime chance when you got to go give it everything you got.
It's a brand new design, brand new class, brings a lot of new challenges.
Yeah, it was exciting to know that you were going to be part of a program that you had basically a blank sheet to go design. You had a lot of really smart engineers and managers that have been working on the program, developing concepts, and they needed to put those concepts to paper.
How does it make me feel to know that I'm on the first class, this super carrier? It's a great feeling because dealing with the yesterday carriers, this is a big challenge. This has been a big challenge, a big change.
I'm a big geek when it comes to watching documentaries on carriers, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Nimitz class carrier, that's cool, but you guys see CVN 78 when we're going down the James River, because this is a new classic carrier, this one's a monster.
He'd be absolutely blown away and boasting with pride. He would be very, very proud of this ship, just like I am.
To watch the ship go from bare metal, steel, it's been put together, been watching the welding, watching the pipe fitters, watching every trade be engaged in getting the ship built, it's overwhelming feeling to watch that.
And the foundation that we're building here today at Gerald R. Ford will last for the next 50 plus years. It will last throughout our lives. If we get this right, Gerald R. Ford will go on to be not just the most technologically advanced warship in the Navy, but the greatest warship in the Navy.
I started with the Ford class back in 1996. They needed some designers to start working on concept designs. It was called CVX at that time. We didn't know if the carrier would be a nuclear carrier, a gas turbine carrier, a oil-fired turbine, coal carrier, we didn't know. As a team, we came together in Building 600 and we were working out of 2 cubicles. So it was a lot of engineers and a few designers kind of all in one location. Had really good collaboration. Any idea was a good idea. So through the years, we developed multiple design iterations, designs of the reactor compartment, engine rooms, and that's where we started with designing and building the propulsion plant back in 1996. We had, at one point in time, we had 20 different designs of those compartments, and we started down selecting through integrated product teams with NAVSEA and Newport News. We had Electric Boat on board at that time also. And we started selecting what was the right design for this carrier that met the requirements of the Navy.
And we came through all those and just barely we were, kind of in the, crawl, walk, run. We were thinking about how to crawl when I first went over there. And then, I talked about it to try to get the team excited about what they were doing. I said, we're building this ship today in ones and zeros inside the computer, to try to get people excited about it.
It took many years through the design process, working in a 3D environment where you could go walk through the ship. We still called it a paper ship because we hadn't started construction yet. So it was many years through that process before we cut steel. So it was a paper ship, and we didn't know if the Navy was going to execute this at the time.
Came out of the subway, we saw the building on fire, someone told us a plane flew into it.
We have some breaking news out of New York City this morning.
We were having a design review that day. So we had the Navy in here.
Like a little before 9 o'clock in the morning, we heard this big, boom sort of, and no one...
it was unbelievable. So the, phones started going off, everybody, there was kind of everybody, a lot of crosstalk amongst the Navy. And finally somebody said, hey, something going on. Is there a TV? So we took a time out, kind of a pause in the design review, and put it up on the screen. It was just about the time the World Trade Tower started coming down. But it was one of those moments that it was really, it kind of lined up with, you know, what a terrible thing that's happening, but what we're doing is all that much more important. But it caused us to find that other gear that we needed to kind of give us that motivation that said, we got to get going. This thing, it kind of gave you a sense of purpose that was maybe a little different than you had on the 10th of September.
So it's with our Navy and congressional partners that today we cut some of the first steel for the next generation aircraft carrier, CVN-21.
Once it was declared it was a nuclear carrier, it was CV-21, the carrier for the 21st century. It was still a concept. It didn't have a place or a number into the Navy's fleet.
CVN-21 is an investment in our future, and the Department of the Navy is urgently moving forward to turn our plans into reality. With that in mind, today it is my great pleasure to announce that the Department of the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, CVN-78, the first in a new class of CVN-21 carriers, will be named USS Gerald R. Ford. President Ford, as many Americans have over the years come to more fully appreciate, was a historical figure, a great president, and a man of the highest character and integrity.
My dad was such a humble man and never expected anything like this. And I'm so glad that he was alive for that experience and to know that, you know, the CVN-78 was going to be named after him. And it's just the excitement, and every time I think of it, I think of when Rumsfeld came to give Dad the hat. I mean, the smile on Dad's face was just unbelievable. And those are the things that you look at and you go, wow. It's just another part of his legacy, sharing his legacy with the world, and it's just another compliment.
Whether it's the people building the ship or the people who are going to serve on it, how proud Dad would be to be part of this wonderful creation that's going to represent our country throughout the world for a half a century. He was a very modest person and would be the last to have thought of this for him, but to be part of that team, and that's the way he would think about it, is he was part of the USS Gerald R. Ford team, is something that I know was very special to him.
As Commander-in-Chief, Gerald R. Ford applied American influence with wisdom and insight. He stood firmly by the men and women of the armed forces and left office with the military in a higher state of readiness and morale than when he found it. He was quick to share the credit with the fine people who served alongside him, from Henry Kissinger to Brent Scowcroft to Don Rumsfeld and Jack Marsh. It was my privilege as well to be on Jerry Ford's team, both during a difficult transition and through all the challenges of his time in office. All of us who were there count the experience as one of the truly great periods of our lives, when we worked for one of the most genuine, upright, and considerate men we have ever known.
I'm very happy to share with you that we've signed a $5.1 billion contract with the Navy on September 10th to complete the Ford-class design and build the first ship of the class, CVN-78. This is an important and historic milestone for our company, our Navy, and our country. It represents an incredible opportunity to build the first new aircraft carrier class in more than 40 years. Your hard work has taken this ship from a virtual design environment and has begun to bring it to life on the waterfront. We've already built more than 280 Base A units, and 420 more have already started fabrication or assembly. One of those units was built by our fellow shipbuilders on the Gulf Coast. We also built brand new facilities to support CVN-78's construction. Examples include the CMAF, the CMOF, and the heavy plate bay. And the upgrade to our signature 900-ton crane will complete in November. In short, we're well on our way to laying the Ford's keel in 2009.
Thank you for joining me in this extraordinary tribute to Dad.
Good morning and welcome to the keel laying and authentication ceremony for the aircraft carrier Gerald R. Ford, CVN 78.
Now I know this is a big day for the entire Ford family, and it's also a big day for the shipbuilders who are building Ford. When people describe President Gerald R. Ford, you hear certain characteristics repeated again and again. Integrity, commitment, steadfastness, honesty, and uncompromising ethics. It's important that everyone, especially the Ford family, know that it is these words, these characteristics that we as shipbuilders will use as our guideposts in building this ship named after the 38th President of the United States. We are shipbuilders. This is our duty, our obligation, a job we take very seriously, and one we are truly honored to perform.
When a new carrier sets to sea, her shipbuilders' quality and pride leave the construction site, often to become a faint memory in the history of the carrier. Let us resolve today that this will not be the case when the USS Gerald R. Ford sets to sea. At this time, I'd like to ask the shipbuilders and their families to please stand.
And now, Susan, if you would join me, Senator Levin, Secretary Mavis, and Admiral Donald on the platform to our left, we will officially authenticate the keel for the USS Gerald R. Ford.
If my dad were here, he'd do it. So he can't, and so my goal is to do what he would have wished himself to have done.
You know, it was like, wow, my name's attached to the next group of carriers. I hereby declare the keel of the United States Navy aircraft carrier Gerald R. Ford, CVN 78, truly and fairly laid.
West Michigan's news leader is 24-Hour News 8.
24-Hour News 8 was the only West Michigan station to go to Virginia for that keel-laying ceremony.
His favorite son, former President Gerald Ford, was remembered today at a special keel-laying ceremony for the $7 billion aircraft carrier that will bear his name.
The keel laying is really the start of really the acceleration of the construction of the ship. There's a lot of work going on in the other shops, getting things ready to go. You really understand what you're getting ready to go. There's no turning back. So first of class, you start out with a little less knowledge of what you're really getting into. We certainly know how to build ships. We have tremendous craftsmen, lots of different skills that we bring together to put that whole thing together.
I mean, initially you realize that you're part of a bigger picture here, and when you see this boat as it comes to life, you realize that, wow, you know, it's very important. It matters. And it's so enormous at times. When we hit those milestones, I mean, even though we see it every day, we see parts being moved, we see bulkheads being moved, once it comes together, it's a pause. It's a sense of pride. It's a sense of ownership that we've all come together to make this happen.
First of a class, you certainly have a pretty good plan to start with, but you get a lot more curveballs with the first of a class, and that's so the best laid plans really just set you up to understand what your opportunities are to work through those other issues. But really executing that plan with the right craftsmen, in some cases you decide whether you're using an expert or possibly using the opportunity to train a new guy on how to become an expert. So a lot of different decisions go into that choreography, from what happens when, as well as who you apply to the work.
When you see it on the fast track and you're like, wow, you know, you can't believe that years have passed. But you're right, even at a snail's pace, sometimes I'll turn around or we'll go on the dock and I said, wow, I did work on that a month ago, or wow, that's what I was working on and that's what it ended up being. It's just amazing.
So some of the challenges we faced on CVN 78 were really a result of a lot of the new technology being implemented on the ship. You know, the structural steel was relatively straightforward. There were some new things there, but you know, that's not a lot of high-tech stuff there. It's as you put new systems on and understand how to integrate those systems and how to build those systems is where we ran into some challenges. And yet people have to understand this ship is a prototype, so there is no prototype out there flying around like an airplane or something you might do for a car. This is a prototype and a production model at the same time. So what is the pressure to be responsible for $1 billion ship and work on a first of class? For me, I don't necessarily see it as pressure. I see it as responsibility, if that makes sense. You know, I'm confident in the whole team and what we collectively know and how to solve problems. So I know whatever challenges we face, we're ready for them. I know we have a lot of shipbuilding knowledge. We know how to take care of a ship. We know how to build a ship. So from that perspective, there's not a lot of pressure. It's just a lot of responsibility to bring that together and deliver as quickly and with the highest quality as possible.
Today we celebrate the first island landing on the first Gerald R. Ford class carrier CVN 78. We are not just witnessing an important construction milestone, but we are witnessing history.
When I think of the island landing, which is the first time that I met Captain Meyer, I've never been so cold in my entire life. It was freezing to death. But it was an important ceremony. So every ceremony and every progression has its own special meaning.
I would like to ask our lead crane rigger, Mr. Curtis Ely, to come forward and bring Susan a shipyard radio. Susan's going to talk to our crane operator, David Rushing, and give the official order.
David, this is Susan Ford Bale.
Good morning, Susan. How are you this morning?
I'm good, David. Lift and move the island.
It really struck me when I had the opportunity to place my wings underneath the island, and the island was placed on top of my wings, and I saw them get crushed into the deck. It really drove home the point to me that the work that we do here at Gerald R. Ford today will last for 50 plus years.
We always keep rolling from the island house to the bow to whatever's next. We always are ready to make the best ship for the Navy. It's like when you were a little kid playing with the blocks, building the big tower. Never built anything this amazing as a kid. So this right here is just a dream job to a point. When we pick up the upper bow, it's a big unit with a small base. We don't have much to sit it on. We've got to be right. To be the one, the final guy who puts it on the ship, taking everybody else's hard work and putting it together, I feel like everybody's counting on me to do that job, to carry on their work to the next level.
Today's a big day. We're going to flood the dock and start this whole undocking process. So thrilled. You know, I've been working this thing since 1999, and I've been waiting for this day for a long time. There's probably not a shipbuilder out here that doesn't have a smile from ear to ear. We really start in earnest the test program when it gets in the water.
Today's a great day. Lots of shipbuilders have worked very hard to get us here. We're finally at the point where we're going to flood the dock. It's fantastic.
Well, I have to say she's awful pretty, but I loved her from the beginning and I'll love her till the end, and I'm excited, but it looks great. It's impressive, very, very impressive.
It was a big milestone. It took years to get here, a lot of man hours, a lot of hard work, but we're shipbuilders and that's what we do. Everybody has a part in it to make sure that it's successful flooding.
When they flood the dock, you know, it is a big turn of events. It's, you know, the ship's starting to come to life. First time the water hits it, it's actually, you know, almost like a living thing. it's an amazing sight. I timed it. It takes 7.5 minutes from the end of the dock to where it comes to the first keel block on the front of the boat. So it's just amazing to see that water come in. You know you worked hard, and everybody's, you know, the team has worked hard to come to this point.
Gerald R. Ford will be the newest and most sophisticated carrier in the world when it's finally commissioned in just a couple of years.
Never thought this day would come. And to put something together like this and to sit back and look and see what you've done, it means a lot to you. And to pull off a christening like this, it takes a lot of dedication and it takes a lot of hard work.
Well, we had all of our vendors come in to support us on these outfits, and it usually will take a good 5 days to get everything set up with about 12-hour days. And then when you have about 13,000 chairs to set up, it's a pretty busy day.
We set up all the barges, platforms, steps, stairs, access for people getting on and off the site.
I have my team, 043. We're setting up the electrical service. And really the biggest part in setting this site up has been X36. All the lifting and handling that we need to do to get the large components in place, it does take the efforts of many and a lot of patience.
For me, just seeing the look of pride on the shipbuilders' faces, them getting to bring their families in and to see what they build, seeing the hard work of the team come together, it's a lot to do for an hour-and-a-half ceremony, but it's totally worth it.
It is my great pleasure to welcome you to Newport News Shipbuilding and to the christening of Gerald R. Ford, CVN 78.
So proudly we
How fitting, Lord, that this morning we gather to christen a ship whose namesake personified integrity. As an Eagle Scout, naval officer, husband, father, and yes, President of the United States.
Today, I am extremely proud to be here representing the 23,000 shipbuilders of Newport News. They are the magic and art behind the science of shipbuilding, and they make it all happen. Because we know when USS Gerald R. Ford joins the fleet, she will stand as a symbol of sovereign U.S. territory wherever she sails. She will represent her namesake, a man who embodied integrity, honor, and courage. And she will forever carry with her the spirit of her sponsor, the strength of her crew, and the heart of her shipbuilders.
He beamed when I took a hat like these USS Gerald R. Ford hats, baseball caps, and put it on his head and gave him a sketch of what this amazing aircraft carrier would look like. He was still strong and a friend, a good friend.
Becoming president, especially by accident of history, doesn't automatically get a man's name on a carrier. The honor conveys the special regard of the Navy and of the people of the United States. He saw America through its travails, through the end of the war in Vietnam as well, by wisdom and by strength of character. 37 years after he left office, and 7 years after he left us, this president seems an only larger figure in our history. Like the carrier, he's impressive from any distance. May this ship and all who sail her bring nothing but credit to our country, just as her namesake did. In the many years of service to come, may she give strength to America's cause and be a force for the good wherever time and chance should find the USS Gerald R. Ford.
This shipyard's motto, always good ships, is not just a phrase. It's a way of life here for over a century. There is nothing, absolutely nothing,
that can describe how proud I am to be your fellow shipbuilder. Your integrity and patriotic commitments to excellence are without equal. Shipbuilders of Newport News, you are a national treasure.
And now for the moment we've all been waiting for.
I christen the United States ship Gerald R. Ford. May God bless the ship and all who sail her.
Once it was broken, it was just it was really kind of a shock more than anything, because I was like, oh my God, I did it. It's been an amazing experience, and I just feel extremely privileged to be a part of it.
It's go, go, go until we hit the finish line. Well, it's been 4 hard years to get here. It's usually just a small breath for us, a little break. Now we're going to move it down to the river down south, where we're going to do some compartment completion, all the electrical, all the plumbing, finish that up, get into the testing phase, and get it turned over to our customer, U.S. Navy.
It's pretty amazing what people can do with their hands, and there's a lot more to it with that, with all the planning and the engineering. But the people on the waterfront that are actually down here welding, machining, and building it, it's just amazing that so many people can come together and create something as awesome as this.
There's nothing that I've ever done that I can compare this to. I never thought that I would be doing something like this.
A lot of people don't realize what we do to make something like this happen. They see the end result and they love the end result, but they don't know what we put into it to make it happen.
And I enjoyed the work. I've always liked working with my hands, so. And what we do here, to me, is just amazing.
Well, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy seeing things come together. And like I said, seeing it start from the keel to where it's at now, it's an amazing process to be a part of, and it's really a cool process.
It does feel special working on this specific carrier. It's my first carrier, but it's a different carrier. You know, everyone's always come from these older ships, but this is all new. This is an electrical boat. It's highly technologically advanced, and it's a great feeling to know that I'm part of a brand new era of carriers.
It is an unbelievable feeling to know that you had a large part in making this dream come true for the Navy. I mean, this is by far one of the best warships they will ever have for years to come.
It's very special. I mean, to be the first to do something this big and to have everybody looking at it and wondering, hey, is this going to work?
It's amazing to say the least. And it's the first class we've had in 50, 60 years. New equipment everywhere you look. There's something brand new, from the kitchen to the catapults to aircraft elevators.
This is going to be a great ship for them, and every day's a challenge for us as well as for them as far as getting this thing out to sea and doing the things that they do with it. Although I do believe that this is going to be one of the greatest ships ever built here in Newport News.
It's really remarkable. The ship itself is, you know, it's a brand new design, brand new class, brings a lot of new challenges. The ship itself, you know, it's not just a transition, it's a leap to the future. A lot of new technologies. Catapults are just one of them.
We're the pioneers of this new system. We're the first ones to do it. We're the first ones to experience all the issues and overcome those issues and make things better.
It's the first of its kind. I mean, it's a huge sense of pride. I imagine it's probably what it was like for the people that built the Enterprise, you know, 50 years ago.
We've talked about EMALS for years, and to get rid of the steam catapult and switch to the system is a big deal.
It's essentially like a roller coaster. It's a series of electromagnets that turn on and off over the 340 so feet. That takes an aircraft from dead stop to 160, 180 knots. It'll provide a lot less wear and tear on the aircraft. The ship, the air wing will benefit from that. It really, really is an innovative design.
It's huge, absolutely huge. And I worked Nimitz class carriers and steam catapults, and I thought I knew catapults, and I came over here and got my hands in here, and it's every day is you're learning something new. And you see how it is gonna to benefit the Navy.
The marquee thing that says a catapult is ready is you launch dead loads. The dead load is essentially just a large weighted sled on wheels that simulates the weight of an aircraft. We'll hook it on just as if it's an aircraft. We'll take tension, pull it back, give the command, and we'll shoot it into the river, and it makes a glorious splash.
Having Susan Ford Bales come up on the ship and watch the dead load shoot and shoot the dead load off and press fire, and you know, she really is involved in it just almost as much as we are. And she knows that we broke our backs and that we spent long days, and a lot of people don't realize what we do to make something like this happen. They see the end result and they love the end result, but they don't know what we put into it to make it happen, and that goes for everybody that had their hands on this EMAL system.
She was out there giving the commands to shoot the dead load. She's very much into it, and like I said, one of the best sponsors I've ever seen.
She kind of jumped up in the air. I think she was as excited about it as any of us. Susan told me later that day it was a proud moment for her, and I believe that. I think that she is just so genuine and really, really appreciates all that we're doing, you know, really in her father's namesake.
I call it the deep abyss, places where you will never actually see on the boat. It's only about 60 of us in the whole shipyard right now. I consider us to be probably the world's best shipbuilders, sandblasters. I call us a few good men. Basically, what we do is clean the steel up, make it shiny, brand new. We're in the JBD pit #1, which is the jet blast deflecting doors, where we're in the inside blasting. We have to get it prepared for a good spray job so that it can be operational and it won't corrode as time goes on and the jets and stuff have to take off.
The sandblasters, they're kind of one of the unspoken heroes of the shipyard. I mean, these areas normally will never get accessed again, so you want to make sure that the coating system is on and is proper and it will hold up for the 50 years of life of the ship. These are custom-built, one-of-a-kind ships, and you know, it's nothing but time, and we put a lot of quality into what we do, and we're proud of what we do. I mean, this is what defends this country and keeps us where we are. I mean, you know, freedom is everything.
Each compartment, you know, it's like we're selling them a piece of their home. That's when we come in together as a team and we inspect the space, make sure that there's no items, there's nothing missing. They check with a mirror, they look behind, look at the foundations below, they look up and above the beams. It's a very thorough inspection. Then once we get it inspected, the Navy signs for it, SOS signs for it, and it's their space. That's how we sell the ship, space by space.
Oh yes, I feel like some of the work that I do around here, I could write my signature on it because I'm very proud of my work.
I feel excitement. I came in this room when I first started this space. I helped build this space. It was, you know, no bunks. It was just bulkheads. We ran the wires, hooked up all the lights and everything. And I come back in now after all the furniture's in, and it's like, oh, I did that.
I'd like to speak directly to the Newport News shipbuilders. My fellow shipbuilders, let me say this again, because I'm proud to say it. My fellow shipbuilders.
I hope I have had an impact. It has been a privilege to serve them because of the joy that they brought to my heart and to our family. Part of it is what Jerry Ford would have done. Jerry Ford got dirty, got down in the weeds in his district, got to know his constituents, and that's the way the Ford family rolls. And to be a prima donna and sit on the side and not be involved is not the way we do things. And I did what my dad would have done.
Well, Gerald R. Ford has been blessed to have the finest sponsor that I think the Navy has ever seen. Susan Ford Bales and her family have been wholly committed to developing the crew, but she is also a shipbuilder as well.
I mean, Susan Ford will come in and she has done work on the ship. She's pulled cables, she's aligned units. There is nothing that she won't do. She's just amazing. You know, I consider her a friend.
I tell you, it goes from ship sponsors, I've seen several come and go, but Susan Bales, no one can hold a light to her.
Any day that she comes out here and see a ship that's named after her father is a good day for the shipyard and for us.
There you go. This has come a long way.
Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you for your work.
It's an amazing feeling seeing Ms. Bales come on here and shake our hand and be a part of it with us. I really do think she's, as much part of the ship as any of us, and having a sponsor that involved really is an amazing feeling, and having almost that she has our backs and that no matter what goes on, she knows that we're going to get it done, and she has that confidence in us.
Susan has been the most engaged sponsor I've ever seen. She really appreciates the shipbuilders. She wanted to know what we're doing so she could be a good sponsor. And she's moving on now to be the ship sponsor, and we'll spend a lot more time with the crew. They're very fortunate.
Susan, her presence here has been astronomical. Coming aboard the ship and cutting the ribbon, getting ready for a crew move aboard and presenting everything in the galley, it was outstanding. She welcomed everybody, she even served people on deck and basically became a part of the crew. It's a very exciting experience to know that you are part of helping the crew, helping the country. It's remarkable. We know we're not finished with the ship yet. We have a long journey still ahead of us in that, ship turnaround is coming and sea trials. We still have a lot of work coming at us, so we're ready for that.
To see it at the final stages, knowing all the hard work and effort that's going in by each and every one of us hourlies, as well as the leadership team, like I said, it's going to be good to see her go out.
To move a vessel this size, I was in awe. I was busy working, but still being able to take the opportunity to stop and watch it every so often. It's a massive move. And these things just don't move on their own when they have no power, so it's incredible.
The time that it has taken it and the hard work is really paying off.
The reason we're turning the ship around today is to support propulsion plant testing and to gear up for builder sea trials and ship delivery. Oh yeah, it's a huge task. This ship's over 3 football fields long, and then you got all the tugboats hooking onto it and actually working together as a team, coordinating it.
This is the shipbuilding capital of the world. We build the best ships in the world, and we're proud of that.
Mr. President, welcome. What a magnificent day this is for the young life of this mighty ship. Mr. President, you have spoken passionately about America's greatness, and there are no finer examples of that greatness than the crew of the USS Gerald R. Ford and the Newport News shipbuilders.
It'll not only be a great symbol of American strength, but a great legacy for your father and our former president, Gerald Ford. Congratulations to all of the men and women who helped build it. This is American craftsmanship at its biggest, at its best, at its finest.
Live, this is 19 News Nightcast at 11.
A top U.S. Navy officer says the USS Gerald R. Ford is expected to head out soon for its first round of sea trials. The
The Gerald R. Ford left Newport News Shipbuilding April 8th about 4 p.m. down the James River, through the Chesapeake Bay, and out to sea, where she met the Atlantic Ocean for the very first time.
It's great. It was a lot of work. We put the team that I'm a part of, we put in a lot of long days, and it's just nice to be part of this and be able to take it out to sea.
There's a great feeling of accomplishment here for me because I feel like I've been through the life cycle. It was a part of the product model when I started in, so it was almost like an idea. We were looking at it on a computer screen, bringing the piece parts together, and now here it is, when we have just about a finished product and it's moving in the water.
That's the great part about working at the shipyard. Everybody's coming from
different places. Everybody's come from different backgrounds and are just able to work together and get the job done. So I'm just proud to be a part of the shipbuilding team.
Sea trials are important for us since I've been on the boat since 2009 to see every little piece that we installed then lead up to what their final mission is. Since we can't just hand them keys with a done carrier, we have to do this in increments and steps. So to tie it all together, to put it out here and make it all work together has its challenges, and that's why we're here. And we'll go again for acceptance trials, but to get through builders trials and be able to say we've done everything this ship should see in the next 50 years and kind of pack that into 5 days, it's exciting, it's challenging, but we're going to get through it.
It's building an entire, almost a city, and then making that city move. There's a lot of moving parts to this trial, especially with everything kind of coming together at once. So the real hub, this center is really the platform, Hull Mechanical Electrical Center, where we coordinate all the tests and demonstrations for that area. When you really look at it, to think about what you're doing and seeing this 100,000 ton piece of metal moving through the water now, and trying to make sure that all the systems work and work like they're supposed to, it's very challenging, and to be quite honest, very tiring at times.
We were testing the emergency steering for CVN-78. What will happen is, if at sea we lose main steering, 2 sailors will take control, one on starboard, one on port, and they'll control the ship via the trick wheel. So this is a backup to that if for some reason the rudders can't respond to anything else.
From the moment we get on, we know we have a set window to get all of our testing done. PAL stands for Precision Aircraft Landing. PAL test, it's one of those systems where you have to be at sea because you need the flights coming in. PALs are used to land the aircraft, and that's basically what you want, making sure that the 2 different systems are tracking the planes and able to do what they're designed to do. PALs is just a portion of all the testing that we had to get done. And anything goes wrong, we have to fix it on the spot and then do a retest of those systems to ensure that they are tested and certified.
Aqueous film forming foam. Basically all it does is it creates a layer of bubbles that prevents oxygen from getting to the fire, and it's also a surfactant which helps break the water tension of the liquid. It saves people, it saves equipment, it saves the ship, prevents further damage. I mean, you want to keep this thing floating when you're at sea. The flight deck, they do the same thing as the hangar bay, but it's up on the flight deck. It sprays up, creates a layer of foam, and covers the fuel. Well, I mean, this is what we live for. I mean, this is like seeing the system in operation. I mean, this is like the end result, and make sure that it works correctly before we turn it over to the Navy.
You see people do things every day, putting their pride into the work and then presenting it to the customer. They see it, the customer sees it. They like, getting a ship that people really put their pride into. And it's reflective of everything when you look at the, each part of the ship. What we've done lately here is test it and really exercise every aspect of it. And that's what part of our job, but also part of what we want to do to make sure the customer gets the ship they need.
So during the high-speed turns, we went up to max speed that the propulsion plant could take you to, and did full swings of the rudder, all the way to its maximum limit to the port side, and then all the way to the maximum limit to the starboard side.
And the ship starts to turn, so it turns the rudder. And we saw down there the rudder, the ram room, the rams push the rudder over, and then it takes just a little while, and then the ship starts to turn. And all the weight of that water and the ship pushing against that rudder is all being tested here at sea, and gets that ship in that high-speed turn that really lays us over. And it's neat to stand on hangar bay leaned over that far.
Anchor is very important, and to have that emergency backup to be able to anchor somewhere so that you're not going to drift into something and run aground. The new anchor system has electronic capabilities, a new design, it has a new braking system. So that system was fully tested, and we're confident that you could do a slow release of the anchor, or if you had to do it in an emergency, a faster release. We tested the fast release and catch capabilities of the anchor. So that was a very successful test.
The first ship of a class is always going to be challenging, and the more sophisticated, the higher tech technologies have proven to be hard. We've certainly shown we're up to the challenge, and we're fighting our way through it. Going to cause us to stay out to sea a couple more days, but I started on this project in '99, so I wouldn't have missed it for the world. So it's something to see. It have gone from the early days of concept and planning and 3D product model and first cuts of steel and keel laying events to today. You see what it looks like, and it's pretty amazing. It really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the commissioning of United States ship Gerald R. Ford.
Everyone should take a moment to celebrate this incredible achievement.
Being a shipbuilder isn't easy work, and it's not for everyone. And I tell you that we're also pretty lucky. We're lucky to work in an industry that allows us to be part of something greater than ourselves.
There is no one, absolutely no one, who would be prouder of the commissioning of this mighty ship than the President of the United States, Gerald R. Ford.
I guess my biggest dream is that she makes America proud, that she has a good history, that all of this hard work that we have put into building her tests to be the best. I will be watching a bit more from afar, but if I had to sum up my 11 years, it's been exhilarating.
On behalf of the 38th President of the United States, and as your ship sponsor, I am honored to give the command. Officers and crew of the United States Gerald R. Ford, man our ship and bring her to life.